Indian classical music is an ancient musical tradition that has its roots in the Vedic era, which dates back to over 2000 years ago. The earliest form of Indian classical music was known as Samaveda, which was used in Hindu rituals and ceremonies. This music was passed down from generation to generation through oral tradition and has evolved over time to become the classical music that we know today. In the medieval period, Indian classical music underwent several transformations and was greatly influenced by the Persian style of music. During this time, the Indian music system was codified and the classical forms of music such as Dhrupad, Khyal, and Tarana were developed. In the 19th and 20th centuries, Indian classical music became more structured and systematic. The great Indian musicologists and composers of that time, such as Pandit Vishnu Narayan Bhatkhande and Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, played a major role in codifying the rules of Indian classical music and establishing it as a highly structured and sophisticated art form. Indian classical music is characterized by its use of ragas, melodic frameworks, and talas, rhythmic patterns. It is based on the concept of rag rasa, which means that each raga evokes a specific emotion or sentiment in the listener. Indian classical music is performed using a variety of instruments such as sitar, sarod, tabla, and sarangi, among others. Today, Indian classical music is widely appreciated and enjoyed all over the world, and many classical musicians have gained international recognition for their contributions to this rich and ancient musical tradition. Indian classical music has two main branches: Hindustani classical music, which is prevalent in the northern parts of India, and Carnatic classical music, which is practiced in the southern parts of India. While both branches share many similarities, they also have their own unique characteristics and traditions. In Hindustani classical music, the emphasis is on improvisation and the expression of emotion through the use of microtones, which are small variations in pitch. This type of music is often performed in solo and duet forms, with the musician accompanied by one or more percussion instruments. In contrast, Carnatic classical music is known for its highly structured compositions and the use of complex rhythmic patterns. It is often performed in ensemble settings, with several musicians playing different instruments. Indian classical music has had a profound impact on the music of India and the surrounding regions. Many traditional and folk music forms in India, such as bhajan, ghazal, and qawwali, have been influenced by classical music and contain elements of ragas and talas. In addition, Indian classical music has also had a significant impact on the development of Western classical music. Many Western composers have been influenced by Indian classical music and have incorporated elements of it into their own compositions. Overall, Indian classical music is a rich and diverse musical tradition that continues to evolve and thrive to this day. Its beauty and complexity have captivated audiences for centuries, and it remains an important part of India's cultural heritage. In conclusion, Indian classical music is a deeply rooted and highly sophisticated musical tradition that has evolved over thousands of years. It is based on the use of ragas and talas, and has two main branches: Hindustani classical music and Carnatic classical music. Indian classical music has had a significant impact on the music of India and the surrounding regions, as well as on Western classical music. Despite the passage of time, Indian classical music continues to be an important part of India's cultural heritage and is widely appreciated and enjoyed by audiences all over the world. Electronic dance music, EDM, is a genre of music that has its roots in the 1980s and 1990s and has evolved over the years to become one of the most popular forms of music in the world. The history of EDM can be traced back to the early 1980s, when the use of electronic instruments and new technological innovations, such as the synthesizer and drum machine, allowed musicians to create and perform music that was entirely electronic. This new genre of music was initially referred to as electronica, and it was characterized by its use of electronic instruments, repetitive beats, and futuristic sound. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, the techno genre emerged and became popular in underground clubs and dance scenes in cities like Detroit and Berlin. This style of EDM was characterized by its use of 4/4 beats, synthesized melodies, and a focus on rhythm and groove. As the popularity of EDM continued to grow, new subgenres emerged, including house, trance, and jungle, among others. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, EDM festivals, such as the Miami Winter Music Conference, began to emerge and help to bring the genre to a wider audience. Today, EDM is a global phenomenon, with electronic dance music festivals and concerts attracting millions of fans and some of the biggest names in music, such as Calvin Harris, David Guetta, and Diplo, among others. The genre has also influenced a wide range of other music styles and continues to evolve and change as new technology and innovations are introduced. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, EDM experienced a surge in popularity, and its impact on popular music was undeniable. Electronic dance music festivals, such as the Electric Daisy Carnival in Tomorrowland, became some of the biggest music events in the world, attracting hundreds of thousands of fans and showcasing some of the biggest names in EDM. In recent years, EDM has continued to evolve, with new subgenres emerging and established artists experimenting with new sounds and styles. The genre has also seen a growing crossover with other popular music styles, such as hip-hop and R&B, and has influenced a new generation of musicians and producers. However, the popularity of EDM has also been met with criticism from some who argue that the genre is too formulaic and lacks the artistic and creative depth of other forms of music. Despite these criticisms, EDM remains one of the most popular and influential music genres in the world and continues to captivate audiences with its high-energy beats and futuristic sound. In conclusion, the history of EDM is a story of evolution and innovation, with new technology and musical styles constantly shaping and reshaping the genre. Despite its controversies and criticisms, EDM has proven to be one of the most resilient and enduring forms of music in the world, and its impact on popular culture is undeniable.